Hello and welcome to Colin Bradley Artcast. I'm Stephen Bradley.
And I'm Colin Bradley.
And welcome everyone to, what episode are we on? 75.
We are 75.
We're on 75, well, yes.
This is our three-quarter of a century podcast.
It is. And what a location. People will notice if they are on YouTube that we are recording this for the first time. We're doing a sort of a recorded video podcast. But not only are we doing that, Dad, we are also doing it rural.
We are, yeah.
Well,
we
are rural to you. We are in Berkeley Square in London.
Yeah, the nightingale sang here somewhere. I don't think he'll be singing today, but he's singing. he does reputably sing. Anyway, isn't that lovely?
Do you want to give us a little rendition? Do you remember how it goes?
No, I can't.
I sang it with my singing teacher, but I can't remember how it goes.
No, I can't do that. No, I'm not singing, Steve. I'm a good artist, but I'm not a very good singer.
Listeners won't know this, but you can actually sing. That's another day. Anyway, so yes, we're recording in Berkeley Square in central London. You've come up to visit me, and we've just been to the theatre.
We've had a lovely day.
We had a great day. And yes, we're trying this out. We're trying out the videoing and seeing how that goes. But anyway, how are you today?
Well, I'm great.
You're pretty buzzing, aren't you, after today?
I'm really buzzing. We've just met Caroline Quinton.
You have,
I don't know whether the overseas people would know who she is, but anybody in England would know who she is. Men Behaving Badly and, so many others.
Jonathan Creek, Kiss Me Kate.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you met her anyway a couple of days ago, didn't you? Because you did a podcast at the Actors Centre, and Caroline Quinton was a guest speaker.
Yeah, that's right.
she was, and it was lovely, folks, because when we met her at the because Stephen told her that we were coming up to see the play that she's in today. And she said, bring them round afterwards. Anyway, and we went round, didn't we? And she treated you like an old friend. Oh, hello, she said.
Not quite like that.
No, but she was lovely.
She was lovely. And we should really plug that. It was a brilliant show. For anyone in London or visiting London, as a fan of the theatre, it's Noel Coward's Relative Values on at the Harold Pinter Theatre.
Yes, and it's definitely worth going. It's really, really good. We thoroughly enjoyed it.
It was
good
brilliant.
Laugh.
Very good fun. Anyway, enough about theatre and you meeting all the stars.
Yeah.
Let's dive on to some questions. Let's have a look. First one here. Dear Colin, this is from Alina. Dear Colin, I have been asked to paint a dog who has sadly passed away, and the owner would like the painting of the dog to be an imagery of it sitting in a rainbow bridge. It's apparently a place, sort of doggy heaven, where pets go when they die. This is undoubtedly going to be a gift for his young daughter. My question is, what sort of colours would you use to begin with a rainbow? How would I go about this? The photo that I will use has a very dark green background, but I was thinking to somehow diffuse a rainbow into it. Any ideas? Love all your work and inspiring lessons and podcasts. Love listening to you and, of course, Steve. Thanks. Many thanks, Alina. Rainbows.
That's lovely.
We've had that question before.
We have, about rainbows, but this was a bit unusual. And the first reaction I had was, oh dear, if you put you do a dog, and the dog is a lovely dog that she wants to paint. And I thought, put a rainbow. I can imagine either it going over the top of his head or it being set into a rainbow. You see what I mean, going across?
Yeah.
And I thought, I don't know. I wasn't really, really convinced that was really a good idea. So what I suggested to Elena, and she's come back and she said she agrees with me, is that instead of having a rainbow, have one of my foggy backgrounds and put rainbow colours in it.
Okay, yeah. It's like imagery of a rainbow, but not an actual rainbow.
No, not the image. No, not a rainbow in any shape or form. Just have a blank canvas, basically, with like a mist. And then into that mist, put the rainbow colours intermittently around.
Okay.
So it's like a bit like, you've seen me do before. And I think this would look very nice. And she could choose all the colours, and I listed the colours for her, that she could put in. And I think it would be more acceptable as a colour. And I got a feeling that it would be more etherical.
It would give in a foggy background.
That the dog was actually in heaven. But if you put a real rainbow in, I think that would be just a little bit... I just didn't like the idea, I've got to say.
No, okay.
I just felt it would be a little twee.
It's an interesting thing about rainbows because... you were thinking of doing one anyway, aren't you? Possibly in the future.
In the right setting, Steve.
But in the right setting. But it's an interesting thing with this kind of subject, how you take that idea and because I suppose then you're making a bit more of a picture of it.
That's right.
And you're making the dog the focus rather than the rainbow. Because I imagine if you have the dog and the rainbow and the dog, they're kind of both sort of a key feature of the picture, would you say? And then you're making the dog more of the...
That's right. And I think what would happen would be, as time goes on, you probably get fed up with the rainbow.
Right.
You know, you look at it and think, especially as the child grows up, because it's for a young child.
I can imagine, yeah.
And I think she'll always love that picture because it's obviously a very well-loved dog. And she'll always be able to remember it. And she'll remember it as she grows up. She'll still think of it as being not twee, being...
Not too young, and yeah.
It'll grow up with her.
So doing a rainbow, obviously that's easier because you're putting the rainbow colours into... It's not necessarily easier, it's still tricky, but... It's easier than doing a set rainbow, would you say?
I would, yes, I would think it would be, yes, because you see, how would you define the rainbow? Would you have on either end of the rainbow, not the either end, the top and the bottom? I mean, would it just be blank canvas, or would you make the rainbow spread the whole way of the picture? And you see what I mean? You kind of start thinking, how is this going to work?
And also, this is going to be a generic question. And just something that popped into my head. If you were doing a rainbow, would you put the rainbow on first, and then how would you do the sky? How would you do the rainbow in the sky?
No,
when you've got first. Red,
yeah,
that's a tricky.
Yes, but red would go on first, and then you could mute the red, like we did with Poppy. That wouldn't be really a problem. I don't think in any case the rainbow is not as severe a colour as the colours in. You know, like the poppy, for instance, which would be a very brilliant red. You're talking about diffuse colours. Rainbows are very diffuse, so you can get away with... You probably could get away with actually a light grey background, or a light grey, if you were going to do it anyway, and then put the colours into that, so it would mute it.
Because usually you would say you don't put anything down below a red, but on this occasion it would be diffused anyway, so you kind of would.
Well, it would mute it, and that's what you'd want to do.
Yeah.
So anyway...
very good questions.
I love these questions because they make you think. Anyway, I think Alina's going to go ahead with that anyway and do it as I suggested.
Great stuff. Okay, so... this is a long one from Louise. I'll try and summarise this up. Hi, Colin. I recently purchased a 3-month period for watching your videos and I'm enjoying them immensely and will likely go for the lifetime membership. I watched your video on painting human eyes yesterday and was amazed. In it, I noticed several times you went back and added more white to the eye right next to the black ring around the iris. When I try something like that, I usually end up smudging the colours. However, you never seem to have this problem. Nor do you have this problem when you add features such as eyelashes to many layers of pastels, whereas mine sometimes smudge. Let's cover that first.
Yeah, let's do that first. That's important.
So putting the white back into the eye.
Well, what you notice if you ever see me do, and I'm sure you've all seen me do, lights in the eyes, I put the light in first. I always put the white in first. And then I surround it with all the colours. Now what happens after a period of time of doing these eyes, you get some of the smudge or some of the colour filtrates into the white of the eye, so you kind of start to lose it. However, with a nice sharp white, you can always pick that back up again because you've got the colour underneath. So the colours that's filtered into it are only going on top of the white. The white's still underneath it. See what I mean? So you then can re-establish the white easily. That's the secret to that.
That's the secret to that.
And the other part where I can put the colours on and they're clean. It's usually you'll see me use sharp pencils. It's always sharp pencils. The sharp pencils cut through, just like whiskers. You've seen me do a whisker.
And eyelashes here.
And eyelashes, yeah. You've got to have a sharp pencil. If you've got a sharp pencil,
you can do it.
You've got it.
Okay. Also, the edges of my paper end up being quite dirty by the time the portrait is finished. I've only done dogs so far, and I have to clean it up with an eraser. I am using both your type of pastels and various brands of soft pastels, but do you have any suggestions for these problems? So it's being dirty, dirty.
Well, what happens there, Steve, is usually with the dark colours, you get, when you blow the colour off, you start using it, you sound effects, folks. I don't know what that's like on the mic.
Probably not very good.
No. Anyway, and you blow the colour away, and what happens? Where does it go? It goes on the side of the paper.
Yeah.
So you tend to get a little bit of a smudgy mess on the outside. Now, as you get more experience, you'll find you can control that because as you quite rightly
control
say,
where the residue pastel goes.
Yes, it tends to go. And the other problem is, did she... Sorry, can I just recap? Did she say, I rub it out?
Yeah, with an eraser.
Now, that's one of the worst things you can do.
Why's that?
Well, because what you're doing... Imagine you've got... You've blown all the dark pastel dust off, and it's gone over the outer edge of your image. Now, the way to get rid of it, you think, is to rub it out. As soon as you start rubbing it, you start taking just a little bit of part of the paper off. You disturb the surface of the paper. So what happens when you start...
Using that paper?
No, not so much that. But when you start carry on with your, your artwork on the image, and you blow it again, not only does that dust carry on and go back to where it was before, but this time it clings to the rough parts of the paper. See? It's all clever stuff.
Because whenever you're using the eraser or the rubber, you're going to be taking a minute layer off the paper, and that's going to affect the rest of the
avoid
picture.
it. You're going to, break the surface tension of the paper.
So, good
folks,
we're not finished.
A mine of information.
We're not finished yet.
Is this surrounding we've got here? It's inspired me. That's all the acting I've seen today.
That's it as well. You're very theatrical in this podcast, aren't you?
Oh, yes, love it.
Okay, I have a suggestion for you as well now. This is a suggestion. Right. In complicated techniques, a perfect example is the human eye, where so many colours are used. Have you ever thought of producing the technique in a step-by-step written form with pictures in each stage?
That is a good idea, that is a good idea. I wouldn't be able to do it on every picture. That would be absolutely
you've done
impossible.
So many, yeah.
But to do a special, yes, possibly. I
mean, you've got obviously the exercise sheets on eyes, and there's the packs, and there's a lot of written instruction out there, isn't there, for covering these techniques. But it's a good suggestion, so thanks for that.
I'll keep
Louise.
it in mind, and these are sort of things that later on I think, somebody said, who was it that said it to me?
Louise.
I'll never remember that, but I'll say somebody told me. And
Louise will know it was her.
Of course, you know who it is, folks. My memory's not what it used to be.
So
works anyway. I'll keep it in mind.
The next one we have is from Nigel. Hi, Colin. I've just started with pastels and wondered if you could use mount board instead of paper.
That's a good question.
From Nigel.
That's a very good question, because, strangely enough, when I first started using pastel pencils, and a lot of folks will probably remember this, I actually used mount board when I first started.
You have mentioned this.
Yeah. And it was strange, because I'd only just started using the pastel pencils, and I wanted something to use. I wasn't familiar with pastel paper then. So I just got a piece of mount board out, which I thought was suitable, and I used it by sheer coincidence. It happened to be the Sand-Engrais paper that was stuck on the mount board. It was Dal Arouni used to buy it from Fabriano and stick it on. So I was lucky. Now, I don't know whether you can get that today. I know you can't get Engrais paper mount board. I know that, because they discontinued it. They had a bust up. Fabriano that make the Engrais, and Dal Arouni that made the mount board had a bust up. So I would suggest that you don't do that, because you do really need, when you're using pastel pencil, you need a surface with a tooth on it, so that it grabs the pastel off you. If you do it on a surface that hasn't got that grip or key, it tends to slide around.
Right.
And when you start putting more colour on, it'll just take it off, basically.
But could you, you do anyway, stick the Engrais paper to hardboard?
You can, but the problem with that is you're going to put something between the pastel paper and the hardboard. Now, whether that's glue, whether it's
I see.
Sticky tape, you're going to make that ever so slightly spongy.
But what about just the techniques that you do with just taping it around the edges to the board?
No.
Well, that's what you do, isn't it? You just masking tape. That's what I mean.
Yeah. Oh, I know what you're talking about. You're not putting it onto mount board.
No. I mean on just board.
Oh, on hardboard. Yeah. Oh,
on
sorry.
Hardboard. Yeah.
Sorry, I misread you, Steve. I thought you wanted me.
There's a good point about putting it onto mount board. Yes, because the glue, if you're sticking it to it, is not going to really work. But I mean, the suggestion, the actual thing that you do.
Yeah, but the thing, how I know that is I tried it.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, I tried it. No, when they gave up using the mount board, and I couldn't get any more, I thought, what am I going to do now? So I got some of the paper and I did stick it on mount board. and it didn't work. That's how I know.
Yeah.
But yes, you're quite right.
But
yes,
doing it the way that you do it.
The way I do it is absolutely perfect. But so the answer to Nigel's question really is I wouldn't suggest he uses mount board unless he happens to find something like I did, with the tooth.
Or a pastel paper that really works for him as well.
Yeah, but I don't think I'd do it. I mean, if you're going to start off, I appreciate when you're starting off with pastel, with anything, any medium, you've got to experiment a little bit, but really you've got the advantage of being with us, really, and in contact with us. And really, I've been there, done that, and I've made all the mistakes. And if you follow what we do, follow all the suggestions we do, you can't go wrong. And really, I'd have loved that when I first started out.
There you go. That advantage.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there we are.
Great. Well, that's our questions for this week. And if you've got a question, you can send it through to us. If you go to colinbradleyart.co.uk and hit the contact page at the top, you can send us a message through our contact form and get in touch with us. It's lovely now. The sun's come out. Clearly, it's...
Anybody watching this on YouTube will be able to see how beautiful it is.
Watch us squinting. I didn't bring my sunglasses. I should have brought my sunglasses.
Oh, let's see your beautiful blue eyes. I tell you what, Carolyn Quinton give you a couple of good hugs, I noticed.
Keep
I was
your mic
jealous
up.
as anything, I was.
I bet you were.
I didn't get one.
Anyway, so a quick update for members then. We put in the Moody Sky, which we still haven't talked about, but we're going to put out the Moody Sky next week, potentially. Within the next week, 10 days, the Moody Sky. We just released the Poppy just this week. And that's gone down really well, that Poppy. But it does look stunning.
It was a cracking picture.
And we should mention the senior moment that you had, shouldn't we?
That was funny.
That we cut out a little bit of the tutorial because you thought you were recording and you pressed stop.
Do you know what was funny about that is that I was very good. I never swore. I didn't do anything I shouldn't have done.
Just calmly.
Can you imagine what could have happened thinking that the recording was off?
Fortunately, it doesn't ruin the tutorial because there's plenty of that section that people can read from. But the picture looks great and it's gone down really well.
It is, yeah.
And there'll be some more still life and you're racking up the projects at the moment.
I am. I'm doing it.
You?
I've got some really great ones that you don't know about yet, folks. But
they're coming up. And this Moody Sky, we should probably just mention, is part of a bigger picture. But the bigger picture you've done as a picture for someone, didn't you?
So somebody wanted a picture. It was quite a large picture, a full A4 picture. And I thought it would be nice to record. I couldn't really do the whole thing because it wouldn't have been fair on the person. But I did the sky and I asked them and they said, no, absolutely fine. So I did the sky and it came out really well. It's something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. There's a lot of dark mood, what do you call it, moody sky, and it is really a bit of blue and a bit of white, a bit of,
And also, with this sky, sorry to interrupt, there was a colour you put in was it ochre?
Yeah, I've been saving this for you, Steve.
But ochre in the sky, and I tell you, it made such a difference.
Do you know what that was?
What?
That was a bit of pan pastel, folks.
Was it? No, you did. You used a pastel pencil. I'm sure.
But I also put a little bit of pan pastel in there. But I did, and I didn't tell anybody.
You didn't
see me do it. The reason it was, I was experimenting. What I was doing, it was the ochre pencil. I agree.
Yeah, that's what I
thought. What I'll do is I'll just put a little bit, because in the pan pastel set I've got is a very dark ochre colour I've got. And I thought, I wonder what that would work. Anyway, I did do it, and I put a little bit in. But I didn't want to show it, because, in fairness, not everybody's got pan pastels.
Pan pastels, yeah.
But I did do it on that. Yeah.
Well, in fact, we were going to talk about skies, and we're going to have to kind of scoot over that and maybe leave that to next week as we're sort of out and about. People are looking at us, all funny listeners as well.
We're giving them all away, aren't we? The traffic's whizzing round Berkeley Square.
It is. I'm sure people can see all the London... No, they probably can't see all the London taxis behind us.
Yeah, they can see. I'm looking in the monitor and I can see them.
And so the Moody Sky is a great sky, and ochre really surprised me, but it really makes the difference.
Yes, it does.
Especially with that kind... I don't know why, but with that particular atmospheric sky, it did come out really well. And there's another section of that picture. We'll talk about that next week.
Will we? Oh, all right then. I don't even know what that is, folks.
Well, the other section of the picture that we're releasing as a tutorial to members.
Oh, that bit. Oh, the
yeah.
Yes. All right. Yes.
It's going to be a good one.
Oh, yes.
So yeah. Anyway, so obviously, look forward to that. And if you've got a couple of minutes, it'd be great if you could review us on iTunes. If you're listening to us through iTunes, then you can simply rate us there, or you can discover us through iTunes and subscribe so you can get each episode delivered to you every week. And Colin Bradley Artcast, you can find us on iTunes. And it'd be great if you could write us a little positive review, because that will increase our listener base and spread the word, which we love.
Also, let us know what you think of these outside broadcasts, because we might do some more.
We might come back to Berkeley Square. We might go somewhere else next.
Yeah, we might do.
Some random London venue. But yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed watching this video podcast. I hope you've enjoyed listening, if you've been listening through the website or through our iTunes, Stitcher and other methods. And that's it for this week. Thanks everyone for listening. I'm Steve Bradley.
And I'm Colin Bradley.
Enjoy your week.